Oops. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We will be getting started very shortly. Welcome to Learn with Common Sense. My name is Sue Thotz, and I'm the Senior Program Manager located in Los Angeles, California. This conversation that we have today will be posted on our Common Sense Ed YouTube channel, along with links and resources shared and discussed in our chat today. So today's topic is an inside look, teaching digital citizenship in middle school. And we'll be talking about digital citizenship, which includes classroom culture, social emotional learning and wellness and balance and relationships, information literacy, and all kinds of topics. Hopefully we'll get to all of those today with our guests. So I am thrilled to introduce our two guests that we have today. Alana Robinson is a special education technology and computer science teacher at the Mickey Mantle School in NYC. So Alana, you say hello?
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here and learn and share all that I've been doing with digital literacy.
Wonderful, wonderful. And our second guest is Janice Magauay, and she's a math teacher from Charles Carroll Middle School in Prince George's County, Maryland. Janice, say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited. I'm as excited as Ms. Elena to share with you, our teaching experience and hope to learn from each other as well.
Exactly. That's what we're hoping for today. So not only will you both be sharing with all the folks who are joining us today, but I'm sure you're going to be learning something from each other as well. So I have brought you both here, Alana and Janice, because you have been teaching digital citizenship to your students. And, Janice, I know you're a math teacher, and Alana, you are a computer science and technology teacher at a special education school, right? Tell me a little bit about, I want you both to think about a memorable digital citizenship, maybe aha moment that you had this year. Where was one moment that stands out to you when you were teaching digital citizenship? And just give us kind of a taste of, who your students are and why that moment sticks out to you. So, Alana, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay.
Sure. I'd say I teach a wide range of grades from kindergarten all the way through 8th grade. And this year in my one of my classes, when I was using the Common Sense curriculum, and they were learning about creating a safe password and so on, and making sure you make sure it's uppercase, numbers, symbols, all of those things. I had created a password for my student accounts, and I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shh. That is not good modeling, not a good practice. And it really was amazing because my students said, "Ooh, that's not a good and safe password." So I thought that was pretty amazing. It was beautiful to see that they're correcting me. And I did actually, as I was signing into one of the students' accounts, I says, "By the way, this is not good practice. Please make sure you don't follow this model. I am just using this as an example." So I thought that was a pretty memorable moment and a learning moment as well.
Isn't that something? I think it's hilarious. Like, part of when we teach digital citizenship to our students, you've got to be accountable, right? You can no longer get away with, because they are so happy to call you out, right?
Yeah.
Janice, tell us about your students and a memorable moment that stood out to you around digital citizenship this year.
Okay, so I'm teaching middle school for 8th grade students, math, and I had several experiences with them with digital citizenship. So we had several discussions about cyberbullying, digital footprints, how to safeguard your privacy online, so and so many others. But I think the one that really stood out for me was, the end of the year messages from my students when they wrote me emails and messages saying that they were thankful that I was able to touch on their social emotional learning needs. And for me, that was amazing. That was really very touching because, that is an affirmation that our students, they will forget what you teach them in a math class or in any content area, but they would never forget how you made them feel.
Yes.
So yeah, that was for me my favorite moment.
Yes, absolutely.
You
I
agree with that,
agree.
Alana?
I agree completely.
It's
Yeah.
important, and I think especially as a math teacher,
Yeah.
I get a lot of folks who say like, oh, I'm a math teacher. I don't have time to teach digital citizenship, or that's not my area, right? That's not my thing. Why is that important to you?
Yeah, I agree. And so when I was attempting to teach those life skills, to my students, I was like asking myself, are they going to be receptive to this type of information? How are they going to accept? How are they going to welcome this? But they needed it. They needed those type of lessons, and like I said, they expressed those appreciation at the end of the year, and you would be surprised because I thought that was like, they were like questioning, why is my math teacher teaching me this, how to be respectful, how to create this a safe space for each other. But then you would realize that those are very important values, and they're gonna bring those lessons, when they go to high school, when they go to college, when they grow up.
Yeah.
So those are valuable lessons.
My students are the same. They pretty much always say, well, isn't technology just using the equipment? And why are you just not teaching us, more things that we're learning with the equipment? And I think it's up to us to really show them that technology is just not hardware and using equipment, but it's also, like Janice said, it's those life skills, it's the soft skills you're teaching them, and everything in digital citizenship or digital literacy, as we're calling it, or digicit. All of those skills are life skills. How do we teach them to become young adults, 8th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, right? Young adults using technology safely, wisely, and with in thinking of their fellow human being. So you're right, Janice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so important, and I think it also seems to also display how you are building relationships with your students, right? Like, in order to be able to teach math, in order to be able to teach technology, and in order to be a good teacher, it seems that you have to have the feeling that your students are in community with each other, and that you care for them, and this seems to be your way to be able to establish that relationship between yourself and your students with each other.
And remember, we're teaching from a distance, so it's really hard to connect and communicate, to our students. And I think that's one good way to make them feel that they have a warming, nurturing learning environment they can rely on, something to encourage them to come to class every day. Yeah, because they have their personal struggles. It's pandemic. We all go through the same type of problems, and so they needed it. Middle schoolers, they have a hard time expressing their concerns, their difficulties, and I'm glad that I was able to create some opportunities for them to open up.
Yeah, middle school is a very
nice.
Yeah.
I find it to be a very critical time to establish that relationship with those students and help them understand that we care for them. Alana, I know that you're a special education teacher, and your whole school is dedicated to teaching, students with special needs. And I have some friends who also teach special education, and I find that they have these skills. They have a way of teaching that I think general education teachers could really learn from. So, tell me about some of the culture that you build in your classroom that general education teachers could really learn from you. Like, why should they pay attention?
I think we can all learn from each other, but generally with us, we are using a lot of what Janice discussed, the social and emotional learning. And I think all kids like games, adults like games, myself included. So we do a lot of gamification in building culture. And I use a program called Classcraft, which rewards points, and it's really building community, building class community, building school community. And for the most part, when you're teaching students with disabilities, some of the strategies you're using, you can use for everyone, right? We are using strategies that include UDL, which is Universal Design for Learning. So you're trying to see and teach kids through many ways. So the content could be through videos, right? The content could be through movement. How are you giving them that digital literacy content? So you're gamifying it and encouraging them to really care for each other, care for their community, and they're getting rewards and points from that when we use Classcraft. And you're then presenting that content in a very multimodal way. One of the most, recognized methods of doing that is using Universal Design for Learning, which is UDL. So you present it in either a physical movement way. So our kids love a lot of movement and incorporating any action with what you're teaching. Any games, if you're making it gamify and fun. And if you're also presenting it with videos, either through videos and so on. So, the culture building is already, our school already has a pretty strong culture, and to really support that, continue that, embrace that, we use the social emotional learning. We incorporate that as well as Classcraft, which really gets them so motivated. So they would work on things, for example, like I'm earning points because I show that I'm a great digital citizen, right? I can get extra points for demonstrating, helping out my classmate. I can get extra points for showing I had an argument with my classmate, but it's over. We're now working together. So you're building in life skills, right? As Janice talks about, right? We're building in those life skills, those soft skills. And, that's pretty much some of the strategies we use to really encourage kids through social emotional learning, through Classcraft by gamifying digital citizenship, and building culture through the specific skills they need to work on. So, I'm sure I can learn from a lot of people, but I just think teaching is learning all the time from everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
Alana, I feel like you touched upon, three things that I know that special education teachers do really well when it comes to, social and emotional learning, when it comes to universal design for learning, and all of the way, like that belongs in every classroom. That is not just for, our special education teachers. And then, of course, the gamification. I know you mentioned Classcraft, and I think Murph put the Classcraft review in the chat. I have seen it successfully used in many middle school classrooms. And I love the way that it encourages the positive behaviors and acknowledges students when they do well, and it really pushes that culture in a direction that you as a teacher are shaping. And my favorite thing is I love the teamwork that builds between students and uses it as a communication tool between yourself and other teachers who are also seeing that same student. So we could do a whole session, I think, on Classcraft. I know you and I both have a love for it. Right?
I need to join that session because
exactly.
I want to use that too.
Exactly. And so I know, Janice, your population, you're not in a special education school, right? You are at a standard middle school teaching math, but you also have a large population of students who are speaking English as a second language.
True.
And the thing that I thought was interesting is the language, their native language is not the same as your native language. Right. And so you have to speak with parents who speak a different language than you, and you work really hard to consistently communicate with those parents and build relationships. How are you doing that? And what are you I'm just stymied by this. How are you doing this, and why is this important?
Let me say that first. I think I was blessed because my native language is similar to Spanish. So we have a lot of words that have the same sound, and so somehow I can speak some of the words, or somehow I can understand their language in a way. They're so similar. But why? Your question is, why is it important to connect with parents? Well, we all know that connecting with parents is essential. Education has always been a leadership between the school and the home. And actually, let's not forget the students. The students are the most important component of their success. So this partnership among these three components is only possible if we try to reach out to each other.
Yeah.
So I felt like, well, I need to do something, to be able to reach out to the parents. I know that they have a different language from that I don't speak, and it's hard to communicate. So I made this bold and brave proposal to my principal, and I said to my principal, can we have an after school club that can, support our parents, because we are about to begin a full online learning environment. And I thought that our children need a support system. The best support system they can get is their own parents, their own family.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was so happy because it has been approved. And so when we started implementing the after school club for parents, the way I did it is that I just opened evening meetings with them. It's just a come and go. So they can come by every time they have concerns or technical issues. And the questions are very basic, Google Classroom, Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
how to use the different learning platforms. And, very basic, but very satisfying that you know that you were able to contribute something, you were able to help a parent who's going to, in turn, support their own children. So I felt like sometimes, you hear a lot, parents don't want to be engaged, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've seen from that
Yeah.
experience. They want to get engaged. They want to get involved. They just need an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to create more,
Yes.
opportunities for them.
Yeah, and make it easy for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's I think about, when I think about making it easy, how, what question came in,
Mm-hmm.
and of course we encourage other questions, as you can see there. Please ask any questions in that YouTube chat. But we had a question that came in from somebody here in my neck of the woods. I'm in Los Angeles, right? And the question came in about how prevalent are these common sense digital citizenship lessons being taught within your district? How much support are you receiving from Prince George's County, right? From the folks, from those folks, and how much
Mm-hmm.
support are you receiving through your NYCDOE folks to be able to do this, right? Like, I know maybe this came from you, maybe this came from your district. Tell me about how much support you're receiving, either of you.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'll go. I know for sure. I've always been interested in the, common sense and digital literacy, and throughout our district, it's definitely supported. It's encouraged. It's necessary. The DOE definitely has lessons, digital literacy lessons. We
Mm-hmm.
also have. I'm part of the Computer Science for All, and so you incorporate the digital literacy and the computer science. So it is definitely supported, encouraged, and it is taught. The digital literacy is definitely taught, and there are a lot of resources on even the DOE website for educators. But in every school, it's generally encouraged, and obviously in my school for sure.
Yeah. I'm actually new to the county, so this is just my third, fourth year. But I do remember my first year here. I was
Mm-hmm.
attending several professional development. One of those is the common sense. So I'm certain that our
Yes.
district is very supportive of the
Mm-hmm.
common sense education. It's just that probably I just got to know more about it this year, and I'm lucky to know more about it because it has a lot of resources that are useful,
Mm-hmm.
not just for educators like us, but for parents and families and students. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
need to
love
promote.
and I'm so sorry, Janice, but I love the parent outreach part, especially because it's really hard for us sometimes, right? To
Mhm.
say, here's what we're teaching. Why is it important for, being safe online and your password, all that should be in, like, how do we translate that to parents? How do we encourage that from parents? Because as we need to be digital citizen adults as well. And I
Mhm.
love that we can use the parent packets with not only parents, but with staff and with our coworkers. And because it's some of the stuff we ourselves, as you're teaching it, you're like, oh, I didn't know this. And so I really like that parental part that really supports everyone. Yeah.
Wow, Alana, you just read my mind. So one of the questions that came in was about how do you build the desire with your teaching staff, right, to incorporate digital citizenship? I know that you are just one staff person at your school. How are you able to encourage, or are you able to encourage others at your school site to also teach digital citizenship? Because it's really hard to do on your own to build that culture across your school. How are you bringing other folks in? Or are you able to? I think
that's I'll be honest. I'm about to. I'm still in the process. I just, like I said, I just got to know more about common sense education this year, and I was really amazed at how many resources and how many materials we can actually utilize from common sense education. So I really do plan to share this to more educators, to all of our viewers right now. I hope they could just try it out, and there's a bunch, and actually you can also use it for personal consumption. I'm using it for summertime. My kids are so much into movies, and there's a common sense media where you can actually see the movie ratings, and you can see how appropriate, age appropriateness of each movie. So you can actually filter what your kids see, and that is helpful, right? That is very important. We want to make sure that our kids are watching what is just appropriate for their age.
Yeah, make it personal. Absolutely. Alana, do you have any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, in my school, there's another tech teacher. So both she and I share the responsibility of teaching the digital citizenship and digital literacy to our population. And we mention it. It's an ongoing process because our kids have a lot of needs. And because we already divvy up the main responsibility of teaching the digital citizenship to our students, I think our next step is really sharing it with our other, homeroom teachers and supporting them in trying to incorporate that into their classes. But since we already do it ourselves, because we do see all of the students, one or the other, either myself or her, it's kind of already embedded in my school. It's the next step for us is just, hey, you may be teaching a third grade class math and ELA, but you can also maybe encourage them to, incorporate some of these lessons in their ELA and math. So it's done in my school, but we certainly can work on, encouraging the teachers.
Can I add something, Ms. Elena? Because I just heard it from you, and I would agree. It's already embedded in our instruction. Actually, we just didn't put it. We just didn't put a name on it, but actually everything that you're gonna see on the website are actually what we're just doing as educators.
Because our was already kind of supporting, and the district, the DOE district, even our special education, is supporting, encouraging, teaching digital literacy. It's necessary. I think it's mandate. It's necessary. It's necessary.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know you all are probably preaching to the choir here, but I appreciate your approach when it comes to helping others see how it is important, both in their personal lives as well as if they see it as important, then perhaps they might be able to see it as something that they need to share with their students. So I guess, as we kind of wrap up here, I want to think about, for those who are just getting started or those who are trying to encourage others to get started. Alana, I know one of the tips that you had related to, these lessons, if you wanted to do a full lesson, it's 45 minutes long. And you often don't have that 45 minutes to be able to, time is always a factor. What do you do to be able to say, how do I do this?
There is, because I used this part of the common sense curriculum during remote instruction. So you have the quick, it's called, it's a snapshot. So it's a lesson. Instead of the full common sense lesson, you literally can teach this.
The quick activities.
It's the quick activities.
Yep.
It is so amazing and beautiful because it's a short, I say, what's the saying? Low threshold, low introduction, high return, right? So you're really getting 15 minutes it will take to teach this lesson, but you're getting the return and the benefit of teaching a 45-minute class. So that's, and it's also a low barrier. Like if you're nervous, you've never taught this before, the way it's structured, it gives you a summary, it gives you the video, it gives you the objectives. So anyone that's coming into your room, they can see, students will be able to, here's what they're learning. Here's a quick video introduction. Here's the activity. The other thing I push for, if you as a way to introduce it to kids, there are 2 games that Common Sense Curriculum uses. Oh my goodness. It is Digital Pass. Okay.
Yep.
Digital Passport. So Passport is for younger, because I teach K through 8. Passport is for maybe I'd say 2nd through 4th grade, the Digital Passport. And then Digital Compass is middle school through high school. Digital Compass is amazing. If anyone wants to go through that route of gamifying it, introducing Digital Compass to any teacher, it's easy to introduce. It's a low threshold because it's an immersive game. Kids are choosing a character with a topic related to maybe a digital footprint, or a topic related to ethics, or a topic related to cyberbullying. And they're taking on the character who experiences these challenges through their lives in a quote unquote, fake high school, fake middle school, and the kids love it. And they go through all these decision-making steps. So Digital Compass, strongly encouraged. That's how I started. I actually started with Digital Compass, and it then just really, it was amazing. The kids loved it.
Wonderful. Well, I said I wanted to put in a plug for a social media test drive, right? And that's another tool that we have that's, but I know that Alana said that for special education students, you find it to be text heavy for
it's too text heavy. Yeah. Even I know it does have the immersive reader, but it's still too much text heavy. Like my students learn, if you're having a short video introduction, if you have a short character that's speaking to you, or immersive the way Digital Compass is, that's a better. I reviewed it, and it was great, but for my students I think there was a little bit of accessibility. Yeah,
that's also an option for folks as well who have students who are able to have that text, just have it as a different option. But Janice. Yeah. What would you say to folks who are saying, like, I don't even know where to begin? How do I get started with this? What's the first thing that you would tell them to do?
How to begin is first know your students. You have to know who you're serving, who you're teaching, right? Because if we know our students, we understand their cultural identity, their background, their preferences, what would be interesting to them, what won't be interesting to them. It would be easy to customize the instruction for them. It would be easy to select the teaching approaches, the teaching strategies that we can, and all of the other instructional decisions that we make will all be based upon our knowledge of students. So that's my tip. Know your students. Actually, it's funny, but I always give myself an assignment. First 2 weeks of school, I have to memorize all of my students' names. And let me tell you what happens. They got shot and they get scared. They're scared. My students get scared because their thinking was that, wait a minute, she can write me up. She can call my parents because she knows my name. But actually, that's not my purpose. My purpose is, first, of course, we got to know them by name. They feel valued. They feel important if we can call them by their real name. But, knowing our students is going beyond knowing their names. It's more of like, how can we support them? How can we help them achieve their learning goals? And that for me is just, a simple advice that could make you a happy teacher. Because I know our frustration is always dependent upon our students' success. If we want them to be successful, we got to know them.
Yeah. And I just want to also jump in, Janice, because I completely 100% agree with you. The other thing would be, I have to push and plug ethics, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you are not ever taught digital citizenship or literacy, if you look at any news, there's always some kind of news event that's happening that's related to digital citizenship, digital literacy, right? So if you would take a news article and then you can see the thread of that relationship through the lessons. Deep fake is an example. When I remember during the elections, there was a big thing on deep fake, these fake videos that are used and are created. Common Sense has a high school lesson on deep fake. I adapted it for my middle schoolers. Even though it was high school, I was able to take a video and just take a snippet to show it. So the fact that deep fake during the elections was really big in 2016, that's a news event, right? You can be any teacher bringing in that news event, and that ties into ethics, right? What is the ethics as we're teaching kids about technology? Are we incorporating, why is this technology made? Who is it made for? What's the ethical implications of the technology? So any way to, an easy entry point is through news and thinking of it from an ethical perspective.
I agree.
So I just want to push that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to try to remember to add that deepfakes article to our takeaway slides. I've taken some of those sources. Yeah, go ahead.
I adapted it. I mean, it was a high school, but I was able to take the objective. I took a little bit of the video, and then they gave you an article. I kind of summarized that a little. So I was able to modify and adapt it for my middle school special ed kids when I was teaching.
Absolutely. And all lessons can be modified and adapted to fit the needs of students. Once you know them, you are able to modify and fit their needs and their interests for sure. So Merv is sharing now the link to the takeaway slides. And, you know, I'm going to, after our conversation today, I'm going to add some more to that. And so those are some Google slides that we just tried to like capture some of your big ideas from today and any of the resources, anything that came up in the chat today that anybody else shared, we'll also try to throw those in there. So it's a living document that we'll just try to add some info for middle school teachers. They can, you know, be as successful as you are. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Janice and Alana, for joining us today.
Thank you.
I hope it was fun.
It was.
If you're interested in receiving, if anybody who's viewing interested in receiving participant acknowledgement or proof of attendance, we have a link that Merv is posting in the chat that you can use to request that. And additionally, this whole conversation will be posted in our Common Sense Ed YouTube channel, along with the links. And of course, as I said, all the resources that we shared today in our chat, so you can rewatch it, share it with your friends. And that concludes our event today. So once again, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom. We appreciate you. And I hope you're having a wonderful summer.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.